a spot here that offers some real good coon habitat, and there's also coyotes coming through here. You can see that there's a really bushy fence line, and we have permission on this side of the fence, and we're right in the center of a section of a 1 mile square section. There's really large cottonwood trees here, which of course are a good coon habitat. In the quarter that we can snare on, we've got your typical farmland setup. There's corn here this year. It alternates every other year. And so it offers coon food, and it offers them habitat with these cottonwood trees because they have big hollow areas in them, and so I've snared this spot for a number of years, and it's always good. Those are hard to see because the cottonwoods are dropping their leaves, and so they fill up, but the coons still use them, and it takes a little bit more of a trained eye to pick up the trails. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get into the trees here. It's windy today, so it's hard to pick up audio on this camera, but we'll get into the trees, and we're going to hang some snares on these trails here for coon. And then before we leave, we're going to hang a snare for a coyote. As I've mentioned, we aren't in, our canine populations are relatively low right now, but I still manage to pick up coyotes every year. 5 years ago there was a ton of fox here, and mange came through, and now just the coyotes seem to remain. Okay, so we're going to hang our snare, and I'm going to put my support wire in. You notice I've got my driver painted white. I tend to lose things. Got a 20-inch stake here. Seems to do the job fine. If I'm in doubt, I've got 30 inches in the truck, but that's a lot of stake. That's a 1/2 inch rebar stake. Okay. Put our support collar there. Coon, again, like to go a fist and about an inch off the ground. We're going to fluff this. Want that trail defined. You can see this snare is guide. There's going to be no refusals here. Okay, we're going to hang just one more right up the trail here, about 6-7 feet. And then we'll get out of here. Okay, we're on the same trail, about 6 feet from our first snare. Trail's nice and narrow here. We'll get our support wire in the ground here. Coil our snare. And again, this is going to be a non-lethal set, nothing to tangle here. When we move down this tree belt a little bit, we'll make a lethal set. And you know, your lethal, non-lethal sets, I'm just in farmland country. You got to be real careful where you make your lethal sets. You have to assess what are the probabilities of catching a dog. Are they good? Are they minimal? I mean, the possibility is always there, but you want to reduce your probabilities of catching a dog. If you do catch them, I've never killed a dog in a snare yet. You notice I'm right on the trail here, and I'm going to fluff up. I kind of go back and forth if I set from beside the trail or on the trail. There's our loop we're going to take, we're going to make there. Get it on the support wire. Once you do this enough, you don't measure your loop, you don't measure your height, you just know. And that's not to mean I don't get knocked down snares, because I do, and you'll see that. But you just know where you want it. Okay, we're going to fluff. Got this snare hung at about 1 o'clock. The wind's not going to blow it. You can see it's windy out here. Typical on South Dakota. Goes up here, we should have it. I got all my equipment. I think I do. So we'll go to the next spot here. See that we've got our 2 snares hung there. And there's a couple big cottonwood trees here. You can see that there's a deer stand there. And that deer hunter, I've never seen him here in the years I've trapped. But if he does come here and I have a coon, I really assume that the coon will be fine. He'll maybe kill it for me since these are non-lethal sets. I'm going to put in my notes, very detailed, what I have here, because by the time I'm done at this site, I'm going to have 6-7 snares hung. And you can see that these snares are hard to see. And so if you don't make good notes, if you're like me anyway, you're going to have trouble finding these when you start getting out a whole bunch of snares. And I mean, some guys, they'll run 300-400 snares, and I've done that, and even with notes I struggle sometimes. You can see we're right in the corner here where there's we're right dead center in the section, and so all these fence lines are intersecting here, and I love these for coyotes. And snare here right on the fence, and there's a real defined trail coming through here, and it appears that coon are coming through this woven wire fence. On the other side we've got beans, on this side we've got picked corn. Why the coon are coming through here, don't ask me. But that's what I've found with coon and with other critters. They seem to pick a spot, and sometimes when the crops come out, their habits change. But in this case, this trail I think is still being used, and the coon are coming through that square in the woven wire fence there. And who knows, you know, they may be leaving their denning area and heading for water. There is a low area down the field here. Who knows why, but I found over the years that these pay off, and this is a lethal set. This coon is going to be dead when we get here, when we catch the coon. There's no question about it. He's going to tangle in the fence, and he's going to be dead. And so it's like I talked about earlier at the beginning of the video. You know, always assess your surroundings when you set these. You can see how windy it is today, and I've got that snare set at maybe 1 o'clock, 1:30 maybe, because I don't want to come to an empty snare that's been knocked down by the wind. And with our loaded snares, that coon hits it, it's coming down on him. We're going to have him. Okay, we've got 3 big cottonwood trees here, and there's a trail that comes from the center cottonwood tree. That's a double stem tree, and it's a pretty well defined trail. And you can see I've put a stick in front of here just as a reminder to me as I'm driving down this shelter belt, this tree line, that I've got a couple snares in here, and it just speeds things up for me. I've got a couple sets here that we just put in. I've got my marker so I know where it's at on top of my notes. And secondly, you can see how close I stay to my vehicle, and that's just an obsession with me. If you're going to knock down big numbers of any type of trapping, you need to stay close to your vehicle, you know, unless you're boat trapping or something like that. You can't afford to be walking in very far, and I've always, you know, for the most part, I've always been that way in my trapping career. I minimalize my work, and I optimize the output that I get from my work. And so I'm going to stay as close to the vehicle as I can. Now our sets are right over here. There's that down tree there, and there's a big cottonwood, and we've got a coyote set in there and a coon set, and we'll walk in and look at those. Like I say, they were just set